Now, sexual harassment in the workplace is a global phenomenon with severe repercussions for individuals and organizations alike. However, in the specific context of South Africa, where social inequalities and power imbalances persist, the issue takes on additional complexities. Sexual harassment continues to plague workplaces across South Africa, compromising employees' safety, their well-being, and dignity at large. To take this discussion further, we're going to be joined via Zoom by Dr. Linda Meyer, the Managing Director of the Independent Institute of Education at Rosebank College. Dr. Meyer, good afternoon. Thank you for your time with us here on the SABC.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. It's a pertinent issue that has come to the fore once again, based on some isolated incidences around the country. But I think just to set the context, perhaps for those who argue that the lines are blurred, how do we begin to define sexual harassment, perhaps in accordance with the Employment Equity Act?
So the Act is very clear that any conduct of a sexual nature that is unwanted, so it might be in the form of sexually explicit jokes, it might be physical contact, it might be comments, it might be sharing email that is sexual in nature, that is unwanted, and makes the individual feel uncomfortable or violated, is classified as sexual harassment. So it is really very broad, and not just the physical touching of someone or implying that you would like to have a sexual relationship with them, but it goes much broader to many offensive situations that do occur in our workplaces on a regular basis.
In my introduction, we had to factor in the social inequalities and power imbalances in South Africa. And I wonder if you could speak to us about the realities on the ground for South Africa, perhaps the measures that have been put in place and the efficacy to date, given the incidences that have come to the fore.
Well, certainly. I think the first issue around socio-cultural contributing factors to sexual harassment is that many people come from patriarchal households, and where these particular norms and standards are accepted within cultural societies. So clearly what is important for us is to understand that within the workplace that this is a professional environment, and that these stigmas certainly would manifest themselves in a particular workplace. So critically, the government has taken very measurable steps in terms of the Employment Equity Act, in terms of the Labour Relations Act, in terms of the Code of Good Conduct in handling sexual harassment cases. And it extends not only to people in the workplace, where clients are subjecting employees to sexual harassment. The employer has a positive obligation to ensure that they take action and support the employee through this particular process of reporting the sexual harassment case and standing by them, be it through counseling, be it through other support mechanisms, even in opening criminal cases, so that the employee is protected within the work environment. So certainly we understand that in a society that where gender-based violence, where many of these issues are systemic in nature, that there needs to be a positive obligation on employers to ensure that their employees are trained and that they have severe consequences for anyone that is guilty or found guilty of this particular malice in the workplace.
I know that it's not gender specific when it comes to the victims. I know that it can happen in both public and private spheres. And I wonder at this point, what are some of the preventative measures given to some of these systemic issues that you've now alluded to, including patriarchy? And, in terms of practical steps for victims, perhaps in a workplace context, what could they undergo, perhaps to ensure their well-being and navigate the tumultuous time that also lies ahead as the process unfolds?
Absolutely. So critically, the first thing is to find a confidant, somebody that you can speak to, and to make contact with your HR department and to make sure that you document all of these instances. So if there are emails, if there are photos, if there are witnesses, make sure that you document this so that you are able to bring this forward as you progress throughout the case. Also ensure that you understand the company's policies. Sexual harassment is, in many instances, also a criminal offence. So important for you to keep this document, because when you proceed and you decide, not only within the organization, but at some point to press criminal charges, that you have this available. Also reach out to organizations like the South African Depression and Anxiety Groups. The CCMA has an excellent call center that provides free advice and practical advice on how to document all of the particular events that you are being subjected to. As we said, make sure that you report this to HR, that you follow your company's disciplinary procedure, because if it should reach something like constructive dismissal, or if you, when you resign because you feel that the environment is so hostile, this will be very important in putting your case forward to the Bargaining Council or the CCMA to document and show them how you have tried to address this with the management and that they really took no positive action to support you. Also, if you are able to afford it, go to a legal practitioner, because they will be able to fight the case on your behalf. If not, reach out to organizations like Black Sash, and just Google. Many organizations are available there to provide emotional and legal support throughout this. And certainly, you know, the important thing is that you cooperate throughout the investigation, that you make sure that you tell the truth and that you don't try and protect particular individuals. We must understand that perpetrators set victims up, so they groom them, and this is an ongoing thing. It's not something that will stop. And once they have had their success with a particular victim, they will manifest and escalate their behavior, and they will seek other victims in the workplace. So often it really is about standing your ground to ensure that it doesn't that it stops for yourself, but that other employees, often young employees in the workplace, are not subjected to these particular actions. So it is a difficult situation that people find themselves in, but you must understand that you have a legal right not to be subjected to this criminal behavior in the workplace.